Alright guys, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, hit the bell. We're gonna go ahead and get started on this. I'm still waiting on parts for the all-terrain. So in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and change these valve springs out. Now these are 22-pound valve springs. This is right here is the stock. Same thing as the Predator 212 or the 79cc. They're the same, but you can see how much shorter that spring is compared to this one. I went and found this. I grabbed the other motor just to make sure that these were the 22-pound ones, and they are. So we're gonna go ahead and put these in this. Now to do this, I don't want to pull this head off. So no, good thing is the way I built this bike, you can pull this Velcro right off. You don't even got to pull anything. Take the Velcro off. We're going to take the spark plug out of the hole. And then at Dollar Tree, they sell this rope. We're just going to put the rope down the spark plug hole. Make sure the piston's all the way at the bottom. Put the rope in there. And then we'll rotate the engine and bring basically squish the rope up against the valves. So it should hold the valves where I can get the spring swapped out, and then when we're done, we just pull the rope back out, and then we'll see if this thing will fire up. I really hope this works because these, I showed in the clip how soft these springs were. It is real easy if you're adjusting your valves on these to think it's too loose, but in reality, it's actually pushing the valve still, even though it's super loose. So with having a stronger valve spring, it's going to make it a lot easier to set the gaps for the rockers. So we'll go ahead and start getting this valve cover off. We'll get this rope down inside here and then you can also check too once you get the rope in and you get it up there. Push down on the valve. If you can't push down on the valve, then you know the rope is holding the valve up there. So because if we drop a valve, we're going to have to pull the head, which I don't have to pull the motor. I can still pull the head, but I don't have any more head gaskets, and I'd rather not risk the chance of it not sealing back up. So we'll go ahead and get started on that right now and get this thing done. All right, guys. So make sure you use, I forgot to say this, but make sure you use like clean rope because you are putting that down inside your cylinder. Got the rope down in there, got the valve sitting. I actually got this one already swapped out. Get some light in there. Now there is one problem that I see that I'm going to have to try to fix, and that is these caps right here are meant to go on the tip of the valve. They're meant to go right there on that. They don't sit down in here. I didn't put that into consideration when I was looking at it. Because if you notice, like the stock one, these caps actually sit right down inside there. So when you put it in there, they sit like that. Now, I have one idea how to fix this is maybe to mill this out just enough to get where this cap has somewhere to sit. Because what you don't want to happen is if this thing's running and this cap bounces out, falls down, it'll end up falling down to the lower end of the motor. It could destroy it. So I'm gonna also see if I can find the cap that went to the 212 or the 79cc motor Predator and see how that cap fits with that valve stem. But if it doesn't, then I'm just gonna see if I can mill this out just enough to get this to work. So we'll come back. I'll come back as soon as I figure this out. Alright guys, this is what I came up with. I tried to use the mill to widen that up. There's just not enough there to do it. So I think this is going to work. I took some washers and used one of these type of bits and got it big enough, because what happens is this is not wide enough for these springs. So now this fits perfectly right into this washer. And then it goes right on top. And I can show you because I got the one already on there. You can see how that fits now. That was pretty hard to get on. It took a lot of force with my two thumbs to get it on there to snap in. So I don't think it's going anywhere. I think we're going to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other side on. And then we'll go ahead and get the valves on. We'll get the lash set. Get the rope out. Put the plug back in it. And I think I need to bump the jet up. I got like a 75 in there. And I think it needs to be an 80. I think it was really happy when I had 80 in that. So I'll swap the jet on that real quick. And we'll see if this thing will fire up and how it runs. I'm thinking we're going to feel a major difference in the pull start. So I'll go ahead and get this side done, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. Got them in. Got them set to where they need to be. I'm going to go ahead and start it with the valve cover off, just so I can just see how they're acting. It'll be easier to see it. It's not going to spray too much oil unless you rev the hell out of it. And it does have way more compression now. I'm just going to go ahead and get the valve cover on it now and probably let it just sit there and run for a little bit, get warmed up. I do hear a slight little knock. Now, could it be, I almost want to pull the spark plug real quick and check compression. We might be taking the rod out of this motor. If that's the case, you're really never going to gain any power out of these things. But I will go ahead and grab my compression tester real quick, put it on here, and just see what the compression is. And then I'm going to fire it up, let it run for a few minutes, and then we'll take it out and go ride it and see what happens. It's either going to get better. It seems like a hell of more power when you twist the grip, or we might be just self-destructing this thing. But we don't know unless we try. So I'll go ahead and do the compression test real quick, and we'll go from there. Alright, guys. As you see, it does run. I let it warm up for a while. The motor itself runs good. Now, what got me to even start this rabbit, if you want to call it rabbit hole that I got into with this thing, is these PZ19 carbs. When this motor was just bone stock and put a PZ19 on this thing, could not get this thing to run like it should run. And that's kind of what sent me down this rabbit hole, trying to like port the head and the coil and doing all the valves. It just does not like this PZ19. I can get it to idle, I can get it to route the rip, but if you have any kind of torque in this thing and like say you're holding it wide open, it will eventually just kind of bog out on itself. Now, I have 4 of these PZ19s, and I've already swapped through the other 3. This one is a known working good carb. This came off a Lifan, I think it was a 140. There might have been a 125cc 4-stroke engine, and that was a good carb on that. Because I was wondering, maybe it's just because maybe it's cheap carbs, from China, might have some issues. But going through all the carbs and everything, it seems to like one of my bigger carbs. Now, the problem I got with that is I would have to make a whole new intake because of the size of this intake on the that come in the kit for the PZ19. It's too small, so you'd be causing the gas to puddle up before we even get into the intake. So I would have to cut that and weld on a new flange. I wish I had a TIG welder. My wire welder, it probably just burn holes through it. So I'm wondering if I hate to do it, but I'm half tempted. I got another motor I kind of want to play with and keep messing with this thing, because it's got to the point now I've kind of answered my question. Is it worth gaining power out of one of these? It's not. When you can grab a 105, or eventually I'm going to get my hands on a 105, and then I want to play with that one. But you obviously see that the valves do work. It does, man, when you pull start the thing, you got to be ready for it. It does have, seems to have better, so when it does work, it freaking lights the rear tire up like it's nothing. So eventually, probably down the line, I'll go back to this. But I think I'm just going to I might just pull it off this bike, put it on the shelf right now, and maybe I'll do some digging and see what I can find for intakes. And if I can find something that will work on this, then we can go that route. Well, I'm hoping this week I'm going to be seeing the parts for this, so we can get building this. This thing's going to be really fun. I do have the parts. Put this light on. Not much of help. But I do have the parts for this piece that goes on the side cart. And that's what it is that we made. And that just going to use the bearing press to shove that into here. So we'll be getting this thing back out and getting that finished. But this thing has just been taking too much time for... The motor seems to run good. I thought that little knot was a knock. It must have been just something I had to wear in. But it's not knocking anymore. So I'll keep my eye out for an intake and stuff. I think I'm going to go see if I have another... I think I have this other... I have a 49... Sadly, I have a 49cc engine that I'll know will run circles around this motor. And that's a 79cc. That's what's kind of... That, or maybe I'll grab a Predator motor, 79cc's. I got a billet flywheel. I got the PZ. I know works on the Predator 79cc. So maybe we'll go that route. See if they have them, because they always have them on sale. So yeah, in conclusion, I guess you want to say that does work to do that. But until I can get a better carb setup for this thing, it's not going to show any extra power, or it's not going to, because if you don't have it running right, yeah, you can raise the wheel off the ground and go like this all day long and sit there and pin it, and it'll run through all the RPMs, do everything it's supposed to do. But once you put a load on it, that's when you really see where the power's at. And I don't know if it's just not, it acts like it wants to go, like it's got all the fuel, then all of a sudden it doesn't have any fuel. So eventually I'll do some more digging on that, but for right now we're going to get started on the sidecar and getting that thing done. So I hope you guys liked the video. I was hoping this was going to turn out to be better, but things happen. So I hope you guys have a good day.